The verdict, folks, in the class action lawsuit against the National Football League alleging price fixing in violation of the federal antitrust laws as it relates to the cost of Sunday ticket. Remember, making the price higher than it needed to be so that consumers would choose to just stick with the CBS and Fox games they were getting in their local area. Let's protect our relationship with CBS and Fox by making Sunday tickets so expensive that people will be more likely to not get it. That ends up being, in the opinion of the jury, a violation of the antitrust laws. And Megan Cuniff has been all over this, freelance journalist. And this is where, as you'll hear coming up, I'm not going to get into what we already talked about, but we saw a tweet from her that suggested this was not going well for the NFL because basically the jury was asking for a calculator. The jury wanted information that would help it ultimately determine the damages to be paid. Here is the ultimate number. The jury ordered the NFL to pay $96 million in damages to the commercial establishments that were in this massive class action of 2.4 million plaintiffs and $4 billion to the residential class, the folks like you and me who have been paying for Sunday ticket for years at a rate higher than under the antitrust laws as interpreted, applied, and enforced by this jury it should have been. So that's $4.096 billion is the verdict. And under the antitrust laws, you know what happens? You know what happens? You know what happens? Gets tripled. So that's about $12.3 billion that the NFL is going to have to pay, assuming this verdict is upheld. So let that sink in. $12.3 billion. More than most teams would sell for right now. The Cowboys would probably sell for more than that if they were for sale, but the NFL basically has to buy at a very high rate a 33rd franchise to pay off this verdict if the NFL ultimately has to do it. There's no guarantee the NFL will have to do it. Remember, the judge has in his back pocket the NFL's motion for judgment as a matter of law. Judge hadn't ruled on it yet. Judge could take this all away. In one fell swoop, it could be gone. The judge could say there's not sufficient evidence to support a jury verdict on liability. The plaintiffs get nothing. Now, I wrote about this earlier today. How do you get to the point where a jury finds against the NFL and the judge finds that no reasonable jury could find for the NFL? Does that mean the jury isn't reasonable? No, it just means the jury was influenced by things other than it should have been. The jury thought the NFL did something wrong, but there wasn't enough evidence when you look at the technical legal requirements, the way that you basically have to build your case. It's like getting one of those Lego sets. There's an ornate way to put the case together, to put the model together. And if the plaintiffs didn't get the right evidence in to prove the case, then there isn't enough evidence that would support a reasonable jury verdict that the plaintiffs should win. That could happen. Whatever happens next, this is destined to be appealed to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals because we have a verdict, the jury has spoken. So the first question is, does the law circumvent what the jury did? The judge is going to take that up. Then once the judge rules on the NFL's motion for judgment as a matter of law, it goes to the Ninth Circuit. Everybody who loses in the federal district court system has the automatic right to appeal to the next level up. There are 11, 12, 13 circuits, federal circuits in the country. California's in the 9th. After that, there's no automatic right to appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court. You have to convince the U.S. Supreme Court to take the case. There's about 100 to 150 cases taken every year of more than 7,000 petitions that are submitted. So there's no guarantee that if the NFL loses in the Ninth Circuit, the NFL is going to get into the Supreme Court. We've joked in the past about the Super Bowl ring that Jerry Jones once gave to Clarence Thomas. That might be a vote. 4 of the 9 justices have to vote to take up the case. And then once the case is in the Supreme Court, 5 of the 9 have to vote in favor of the prevailing side. So the first challenge will be Ninth Circuit. What does the Ninth Circuit do? And then after that, especially if the NFL loses, I guarantee you, and with this much money at issue, whoever loses at the Ninth Circuit is going to appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court. There's too much money now. It's one thing for the plaintiff to, if it's $1 million verdict, how far do you want to push this? How much more money do you want to spend? When you got $12 billion in hand, you take it all the way to the highest court in the land to try to make that $12 billion. And who knows, maybe it'll settle at this point. And the one thing that we all need to hope for as consumers and fans of the NFL, that this is the wake-up call to the NFL, that 30 years of doing it this way is enough. It's over. The game is ended. It's time to start making Sunday Ticket available at a cheaper price for the full package and options including single team, single weekend, single game. Whatever the consumer wants. Give the consumer real choice, not at a markup. Real choice, real options to watch any games they want, either as part of their cable package, like the NFL considered back in 2017, or you buy it, but you don't have to spend $389 for the full season or $449 or more to watch the full year of Sunday Ticket or have access to the full year of Sunday Ticket because all you want to see is Buccaneers games if you live in Topeka, Kansas. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.